Mario Party is a video game developed by Hudson Soft, a company best known to Nintendo fans for the Bomberman series at the time, that was published by Nintendo for the Nintendo 64 console. It was released in December of 1998 in Japan, and in North America and in Europe in the early part of the following year. The game sees Donkey Kong, the Princess, Yoshi, Luigi, and more come together for a fun-filled multiplayer party game. And guess what? You're invited. In short, Mario Party is a video game take on a traditional board game where up to 4 players can compete against each other simultaneously. Similarly to a board game, each player rolls, or in this case hits the dice block, and then is free to move the amount of space as shown. Consisting of 53 minigames and 3 hidden single-player games, Mario Party's main objectives is to collect as many stars as you can, and the player with the most amount of stars after all turns have been completed is the winner. Mario, Yoshi, Wario, Peach, Donkey Kong and Luigi are all playable characters, with each of them having a title board of their own. Donkey Kong has a jungle stage, Yoshi has an island stage for example, and each one differs from the other in recognisable ways. Once the players and the board are chosen, you set about aiming to become the victor by obtaining the most stars, and as you go there are a bunch of secondary objectives like collecting coins. These become necessary for buying items as you progress, including stars, or in the event of a tie at the end of the game, can determine the game's winner. At the game's end, 3 more bonus stars are given out: a coin star to the person who collected the most stars, a minigame star to the person who collected the most coins and minigames, and finally the happening star to the person who landed on the most question mark spaces. It's not unusual for more than one player to be awarded the same bonus star if there's a draw in that category. Similarly, as I mentioned earlier, if the game ends in a draw, the player with the most coins will win, but even this can sometimes end in a draw. In this instance, the dice block will be rolled again to determine the game's eventual winner. Mario Party launched to positive reviews, commonly scoring 70% or above aggregate score for most reviewers. Its lack of enjoyment when not used in the multiplayer environment aside, praise showered in regarding the party aspect of the game, and Nintendo clearly listened, launching more than 10 sequels to date. With close to 1.2 million players of the original game by the start of 2000, you'd think everything was going swimmingly for Nintendo, and it was too, apart from one small oversight. You see, some of Mario Party's minigames were frantic, so much so that the kids playing the games weren't just using their thumbs to beat them. Instead they took to using their palms, the back of their hands and more. As you can imagine, and because this wasn't how they were intended to be played, it led to friction burns, blisters, lacerations, punctures and cuts. People began to notice. In fact, between 90 to 100 complaints were received by the New York Attorney General's office. It may not seem like a lot compared to the 1.2 million who played the game, but it was certainly enough for Nintendo to notice. Although not a single lawsuit was filed, Nintendo of America agreed on Thursday the 20th of April 2000 to provide protective gloves to the approximate 1.2 million children who played the Mario Party game. New York Attorney General Eric Splitzer stated that Nintendo had agreed to take responsibility for the effect of its game. Christine Pritchard, a spokeswoman for Splitzer's office, added that the injuries had occurred because of the way the joystick was used to win the game, and one kid had even got a tetanus shot. Nintendo did add a recorded message to the company's Mario Party hotline, recommending players avoid injuries by manipulating the joystick with their thumb and forefinger rather than the palm of their hand, but the fact remained. As part of the settlement, they had agreed to provide 4 sets of sports gloves to each Mario Party owner who had sent in a request. Although 1.15 million copies of the game were sold in the United States alone by December 1999, only roughly 100 complaints were received. Pair that with the rather elaborate proof of purchase details needed to avail of the offer, and it would cost Nintendo far less than the $80 million predicted if every consumer was to take advantage. 5 segments of the game are associated with the injuries: Paddle Battle, Tug of War, Pedal Power, Castaways and Deep Sea Divers, and the potential lawsuit caused the removal of such similar minigames until the release of Mario Party Island Tour on the 3DS, which is a safer to rotate joystick. In addition, Nintendo also agreed to pay for the New York State's legal fees, totaling about $75,000. It is known how many people requested the weightlifting style gloves with padded palms that Nintendo offered, or how much of the approximated $80 million it cost to supply them. But one thing that has been confirmed is that the offer is no longer available.